yeah, they keep updating.
Okay, so why did I uh, make this a wedding present? I was telling Nat in one of our calls about this hotel in Wakayama, a gigantic hotel, and the most interesting thing was that the onsens, that's the hot spring baths, this place had like five of them. They'd go outdoors and be there in the hot water and have this on this particular days anyway, the waves breaking the salt water into your face. Just fun to sit. So Nat asked me about this. It's on his bucket list. So I put this together as a wedding present. Should you go? Well, I think I don't know anyone who's ever traveled to this country that wasn't delighted. And more people are going these days. I've got friends with children going now to Japan. And a couple things about it. Zen is everything. Zen, of course, comes from the Buddhist monks, and it means you do everything exactly right. If you put a dish together for food, it's done precisely. The trains run on time. I've been on a Shinkansen when the conductor apologized for the train leaving 30 seconds late. Everything happens when it's supposed to. It's organized. It's clean. So when people ask me, what I would say is why I love Japan. It's the only place you can have such an exotic experience in your total safety. What's exotic mean? Well, I'm going to give you one example, the Rokon experience. By the way, the pronunciation for R is halfway between L and R. They're the same character in Japanese. So you got to kind of get that L sound in there to make it right. So the consideration everywhere, I could tell story after story about things. I just tell one quick one. I was in some years ago, I was having dinner once a year with friends of mine from Harvard and in Tokyo. So we went to a place and we all had a big dinner and drank a lot. That's mostly what we did, sake. And I was ready. I was good enough for the night. Then we had Nijikai, which means second party, which I wasn't expecting. Went to a bar, and now we're all getting really plastered. So I'm sitting there in this bar, and there's a bunch of commotion in the back. It turns out I left my Canon camera in the taxi. The taxi driver drove to the other part of town. Someone got in the car and said, "There's a camera back here." And he said, "Please get another taxi. I'm going to go take it back." So he drove back, all asking his rides. Took him about 45 minutes to return to us. He came back and brought the camera back. There's not many places that would happen. And physical safety, I would be careful in Shinjuku, which is downtown Tokyo, about foreigners. But I've been in Japan with Junko where you go into a bank and take out large amounts of money in a paper bag. Cash is common. Everything's clean. If you go into the convenience stores, which is their contraction of convenience, everything's spotless. The bathrooms are spotless. The food is fresh, healthy food, so forth. So primarily going to talk about. I didn't highlight this region too much. This is good too, but the two extremes are Kyushu, which is great in the winter. It's the southernmost of the main islands, and then Tohoku, which is interesting because foreigners, tourists, don't go there. Less than 1% of tourists go there, and it's the most uninhabited. The reason is that on this east coast, or west coast over here, it's the snowiest place on earth. It snows 15, 20 feet of snow. So it's late to settle. Hokkaido is interesting, but that's Junko's current home, but when we met, but I don't know. This is an easier trip to take. By the way, I don't exclude anything. I'm just trying to give you some ideas about places we've recently been. Okay, so far?
Yeah, what about Okinawa?
Yeah, Okinawa is a tourist resort. Uh, Junko's asked me about going. I said, I don't think so unless you want to go see the house we used to live in. It's just still there. It's basically if you want to go snorkeling, diving, swimming, it's luxury hotels, not ryokans. It's all modern. The place was totally destroyed in World War II, and so it's modern, fancy hotels. If it's a little bit like low cost Hawaii, more elegant. If beaches interest you, then I'd say that's the place to go. the water is just beautiful. So gotta be careful something. Everybody does things on the same schedule in Japan. Typically, if you're a salary worker, their term for a white collar worker, you get vacation time, but in my experience, it's considered disloyal to take it. But then, so then everyone takes off the holidays. New Year's is the big celebration. It's multi-day thing. You not want to be traveling on New Year's. Next most busy time is Golden Week. I've been here during Golden Week, and it's 5 holidays together or so. Uh, you sit in freeways almost dead stop. Prices double. And Oban, I've also been there for Oban. That's less serious. But that's more about going to the family grave, and I've done that. Junko and I were there, and this Buddhist monk did this sort of 45-minute chant, and we all kind of sat and prayed with him for our ancestors. And I went up to talk to him, and I said, "Do you speak English?" He said, "Yeah, I used to live in Los Angeles." So, so foreign tourists are really a bigger problem, especially now. Most are from South Korea, but the people you want to avoid at all costs are Chinese tour groups. That's the next most common visitors. In Taiwan, we left museums because the people were so obnoxious. I've seen them hawk their phlegm on the floor of a beautiful museum, and they bring amplifiers. For some reason, noise pleases them. Japanese are quiet. You need to understand that in Japan, you don't make noise. Everything's quiet. You'll see even I saw a sign in an elevator once said no, do not speak in the elevator. That's about the Chinese tour groups. So how do you do that? You avoid the Chinese. Best, you do two things. You're careful about the popular tourist places. Fortunately, 99% of their time they're going to Tokyo and Kyoto and probably not much else, but avoid their main holidays too. So that's even bigger. I always take some cash. And the best way to do this is call the bank and ask them for some fresh $100 bills. Mutilated bills that are hard to take. And then what you do is I typically leave with several $1,000s in cash. And the small restaurants, Japan is a country of small businesses. Many of our favorite restaurants are three people. The guy's the chef, the wife is the waitress, and they hire someone to wash the dishes, and that's it. Places like that do not take credit cards. Lots of small shops do not take credit cards. It's just common to use money because it's so safe. And what you do is when you go into the airport, the banks have offices there where you change the money at the bank. Do not go to these money exchange booths. And for United flying there recently, they have a travel ready site that directs you to a thing in Japan, and there's a bunch of forms. If you do all that, and before you go, you get a QR code, and we just basically walk through the airport. The immigration is nothing, and US two-prong plugs will work throughout the country. However, the voltage might be only 100 volts and it might be 50 cycles. They don't have ground plugs anywhere. And what's interesting is the Japanese use a ground fault interrupter on the whole electrical panel. So any short just disconnects the whole thing. If you're going to have a choice with large purchases like hotels, which will take credit cards, but ryokans might or might not. Most of them do. I suggest selecting yen for the payment because you get a better rate as the bank that issues your credit card makes the exchange. You with me? Not the local thing in Japan. So it was a choice between dollars and yen. It's small. I think I assumed the Narita Express is probably the best option to Tokyo. Although full disclosure, I've not been in Tokyo for many years. Narita is where I'd recommend that you fly nonstop on on the 787, assuming it solves its problems, to Narita from Denver. I'd made this for you guys. That's very nice flight, very comfortable.
Is it from Denver?
From Denver nonstop.
Oh, nice. And what airline is that?
United.
United. So that's what you usually fly United to Japan?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Junko insists on it. My experience is I don't mind stopping over in Los Angeles or Seattle or San Francisco going. It's coming home when I really don't like it. I'm exhausted. I've already been flying 12 hours. To go to another airport is onerous, but if I can get a better deal, I might go to LAX and wait an hour. That doesn't take much longer. Plus, you get good executive lounge and so forth. Narita is really uh, one of two airports. It is almost totally dedicated to international flights. You're going to have to, for most flights, take a bus to Haneda, and that's actually, I think, a bigger airport and much more domestic flights. I've done this many times. The ride's about 90 minutes. You buy a ticket in the terminal, English signs everywhere. The bus has a bathroom. What I do is I pick up maybe if I'm hungry, I pick up a bento box. I'll talk more about these later, and a can of beer and ride the bus, and it's no big deal. Uh, as far as you might also fly to Osaka, and Kansai is more like Narita, it's international airport, and Itami is like Haneda and right close to the city. So in general, you avoid taxis because they're expensive. But from if you happen to go to Atami, just FYI, taxi's a good deal. So the Japanese baths, almost every ryokan will have a bath. Almost always, it's there because there's a hot spring. There's hot springs everywhere, volcanoes everywhere. I think 90% of Japan is mountains. And so the thing we like is the onsen bath. If you're in a regular hotel, it also might have a public bath. And in your room, if you want, you can also take a bath in there. And if you look carefully, you'll see the bathroom floor slopes down to a drain. So you can jump in your bath in your room and overflow it, and nothing will happen. In the public baths, they're mostly segregated. You get up into like the countryside, and there are baths that are joint together. By the way, there's always been a choice of a woman's bath, a men's bath, and sometimes also a joint bath, and we do that sometimes. So the kanji character, you might not be able to read it, but the woman's is always red and the men's is always blue. So you can get in the right bathroom. I made that mistake one time coming back late. You leave your shoes in the doorway and you switch to slippers. I just walk on my sock feet. And typically you go in here and you put your clothes in a wicker basket. There's also a little safe thing if you want to have a little metal thing for some valuables, but I don't bring anything with me to the bath except my bathrobe. You normally wear your bathrobe, your yukata to the bath. And then the next thing you do is you come in here, everyone's naked. By the way, you're still observe modesty. You don't stare at people. You just sort of avert your eyes. And then you sit down at the little washing station and you get yourself completely clean before you get in the tub. The idea is that the tub water is a purifying thing, which comes from Shinto. So no soap, no excess body, anything in there. So you sit on this little stool and there's a little bucket here typically. You've got a large white washcloth with you. It's about 2 feet across, and just slowly and carefully wash yourself. And there's typically shampoo and stuff up here for you. Uh, Sometimes razor blades and shaving cream. And then, so it takes about 45 minutes to take a bath. It takes about 15 minutes to go in there and wash, then sit in the water about 15 minutes, and then about 15 minutes to cool back down. So I typically go back here and use some cooler water. Uh, by the way, tattoos are generally not permitted in public baths. This has nothing to do with a moral statement. It's about the Yakuza. The Yakuza are the organized criminal syndicates, and they're usually tattooed head to toe. And there was one in a bath I was in, and it was kind of scary. If you have baths you can cover, no problem. It's just It's about consideration. They don't want you to be scaring people with your tattoos. That's all that's about. The easiest and less interesting choice is business hotels. This is kind of like a regular Marriott or that kind of hotel in the U.S. And it's very efficient. You have no trouble with English there. The only thing is the rooms are a little smaller, and a lot of them have public baths. This is just like an onsen bath, except it's city water, and we enjoy that when they have it. Breakfast is usually included, often a buffet with both Japanese and Western offerings. If you want some adventure, look up capsule hotels. I've never used one, but they're common, and they come in all shapes and sizes. This is a little bit extreme, but you open the door and go in here, and you got a little air conditioner, a little TV, your own little room. They're cheap, I think maybe $40. And you typically take your clothes and shoes and put them in a locker, get your yukata and slippers. They'll get a robe and a bathroom. So this is kind of a fun thing. You just want to do something different and cheap in the big cities. Here's a ryokan. This is typically how they look. This is about wabi sabi. Wabi sabi means less is more. And so there'll be nothing on the walls except one piece of art. Typically, our house is similar. You'll have typically a sit back chair here on the floor, and there'll be typically a little atrium out here kind of thing with a view, and a Western style chair. This is very typical. Japan is, if not, it's very standard. Um, these normally include meals, breakfast and dinner. I don't like to spend less than $300 or $400 a night for two people because I want the quality. And for me, for a gourmet breakfast and a gourmet meal and a nice room and a bath for two people, that's $200 a person. That's not a lot to me. You can't get a really nice dinner. Sometimes it's all you can drink too. You can look at that when you book it. More often you pay for the sake or shochu or beer at the dinner table. It's kind of like normal restaurant prices. The top ryokans, it's amazing. Someone will rush out to meet you as you arrive, and they'll direct you into a parking place, even though you can just drive right into it. Then they'll usher you into the building, and typically, in the more traditional ones, you take your shoes off when you enter the building and don slippers. I don't like the slippers, especially on stairs. I just go in my sock feet. No one cares about sock feet, but you're not supposed to go barefooted. And the only complicated thing about this is that check-in, they talk to Junko for several minutes about all the rules and things. I think if you're going to go to a ryokan, you might want to ask if anyone there speaks English. I think you're going to find everybody understands it, but they don't. If they don't use it often, like they don't see many foreigners, they're not going to speak it very easily. And they're going to want to tell you, like, this is the hours for this and that. Uh, you can eat in your room in lots of places if you want, no extra charge. There's often a welcome snack. Matcha is the tea from a tea ceremony. Invariably, they'll walk you to your room, explain where everything is, and they'll open your door. And when you go into the room, it's normally tatami mat floors. So that's these grass reed floors. They're wonderful. I love them, but they're fragile. You don't put wheels of a suitcase on here. You never put shoes on this, or slippers either. You walk in sock feet in here, and has a nice aroma. And so you normally don't, you can, but you don't wear your street clothes in the inn. When you get into your room, you put your street clothes away and don your yukata, which is a bathrobe, and you tie the obi around the waist. And so you go to dinner, everything. They typically have a second sort of more formal little jacket you put on, you can wear for dinner, or if it's cold, makes it look nicer for dinner settings. So that's that. Any questions, comments? I would say definitely if you're going to go, find a chance to go at least one night in a ryokan. The business hotel, you can stay, it's easy peasy. I think now the checkouts are often automatic. You put your key card on the machine, it checks you out. One of the more interesting things, we went to a hotel like that, and we drove our car into a kind of a slot, and an elevator took our car away. and printed a ticket for us. It went up and parked the car up in the upper reaches of a building someplace. So the baths, I've talked about this quite a bit.
Charlie, what
Yeah,
about the language barrier?
I've got a translator with me.
Oh, no, I mean like for someone like us
No,
who
I think you'd be fine. I think uh, I would do an email or something with a Rokon, and I think I'd want to know that they have someone there. Well, what I've observed is even if they say they can't speak English, they understand what I'm saying because they respond to it. But
hmm,
I think for an Rokon, I would ask if it's okay to come as an English speaker. You can use your phone to translate. For
yeah,
I've done that. That works fine. Um, but you can do. I think the language barrier for restaurants. I'll talk about this more, but uh, I was there for 3 months by myself 25 years ago, and I'd go into a restaurant and I'd look around. The first thing, they have plastic models in the windows, saying good point to that. Or I'd go look around something that looked good, and when the waitress came, I just stand up and point at that meal, say, "Give me that."
okay,
That works. Uh, I'll show you a few words I think you need to know.
sure.
But I bring moccasins, house slippers for my wearing in the place. I like I don't like the slippers. It's just kind of like, I don't know. I just don't care for them. Also, lots of Rokons, you could check on this, have private nonsense, and what that means is it's a place in the public area that you just check. There's a little card there. I can't read the characters, but this is what it looks like. But you can try the door. If the door's unlocked, you go in there, flip the thing over, and close the door and lock it. And you and Tanya can have your own bath. In that case, the tattoos are irrelevant. Nobody cares. And a lot of places have the onsen in the room. Junko prefers to be in the public bath because it's bigger. It's just that she likes it better. We've had that from time to time. Actually, in a Marriott in Japan, a private bath in our room. So, but I would say, the regard to the tattoo issue, maybe no one would say anything. The only thing I wouldn't want is have an argument with somebody in Japanese about something. So. And of course, service is great. The beds are futons stored in the cabinets. And while you're at dinner, someone will come up and put the bed out for you. You can often get Western style beds if the place has them. I prefer a Western style bed for simply it's easier to get up and go take a pee during the night. But I prefer sleeping on the floor with the futons. We typically
Yeah.
back to the onsen in the morning, and breakfast is like dinner. It's always he has a cooked fish offering. It's not typically hot, just kind of a cooked miso soup will always be there. Skimono, I love this. It's every meal completes with skimono. These are pickled plum and other pickled vegetables. They're kind of salty and crunchy. And gohan, white sticky rice. I've learned to really like rice over the years. And Junko will taste it and say, "Oh, it's not good," or "This tastes like it came." Japanese will talk about, "This is great rice that comes from this region." I'm not up to that. Me, it's rice is rice. Uh,
Hmm.
and typically, when you leave, someone will be there with a waving ceremony. And one time, Junko, we went out to the car. Junko decided to go use the toilet, and the lady had come out. Well, in this case, we had a woman assigned to us for the whole time. She just stayed with our room and everything, a person with her
Oh
name.
wow.
Yeah, so she came outside. Junko went back in about 10 or 15 minutes. She stood there and waited until Junko came back, then waved goodbye when we left.
Oh wow.
There are things like the Marriott hotels. I use them occasionally. They're not cheap. You get the free alcohol in the lounge, and the top-rated hotels fill up early. So for you guys going, I wouldn't recommend this option. It's not. Why go to Japan to be in a Marriott? It's so you're going to arrive typically in Narita, Haneda, or Kansai. Immigration, if you do the paperwork ahead of time. Unless you have a Google Pixel, you might want to rent a portable hotspot in the terminal. They're not expensive, and it gives you internet connectivity the whole time. Every building will have Wi-Fi. It's only if you want internet while you're traveling for maybe taxis or I mean you can use your iPhone, you're just going to pay ridiculous roaming charges. That's all. This lets you have the phone. Yeah, I think you understand how hotspots work. Japanese love to contract words, especially loan words from other languages. So there's 4 vocabularies in Japan. There's hiragana, which is characters that make sounds like regular. That's kind of like English letters. There are English letters also used. There's kanji, which is the Chinese characters. You got to memorize at least 2,000 to read anything. Then there's katakana, a different alphabet that tells you it's a loan word. And you can often, if you want to learn at least 26 characters, you can often tell what it is. But usually I don't care. And so convenience store gets contracted to konbini. And these are amazing places. These got everything in there. The bento, the lunch boxes. Onigiri is a Japanese triangular thing wrapped in seaweed. I'm fond of them. They have. I'll get a ham and cheese sandwich and have them put it in the microwave. You can have ATM machines, ticket sales, laundry. They sell beer, sake, shochu, and whiskey. So just FYI about the language. If I want it heated, I just tell her atsui, which means hot. It's not good grammar, but they know exactly what I want. So, and then another contraction, depato, is department stores, and these are interesting for 2 reasons. There's a very high level of customer service, and the basement is food, and it's just worth walking around. I mean, you may see 100 kinds of fish and just all kinds of things, and you might be shocked at $100 cantaloupes. The reason for this is that Japanese have to give gifts. Bosses need gifts, and people need gifts. And the houses are so small, you can't give them anything that takes up space. So food is common. And this is going to be a cantaloupe that's been hand grown for perfection. It's perfect in its taste, it's perfect in its shape, everything. And the reason people buy these for gifts. And the upper floors have good, inexpensive restaurants, often buffets. And of course, a buffet, you don't need to worry about the language at all. Just pick up what you want on the tray. Food is one of the great pleasures. A lot of shops specialize in a single item. Ramen is a noodle dish, very popular. The Korean style barbecue might be a restaurant specializes in a single fish, or oysters, or fugu, blowfish. Genghis Khan is grilled mutton, unagi is freshwater eel, and so forth, and sushi. And they all have plastic food models. Also, many of them have this fixed price for as much as you can drink. Shoyu is often matched to the food like wine. So you get a stronger soy sauce with sashimi and use it sparingly. They think of it like salt. Foreigners who come in and drench their food with soy sauce, that they don't understand that. And the rice is frequently provided eaten plain. Now, there's nothing at all. By the way, you should pick up your rice bowl in your hand and when you eat from it. It's impolite to leave it on the table. And there's no problem, and I frequently do this. I might take a piece of sashimi and put it in the rice bowl and eat it right out of the rice bowl, or something from the food and put it on the rice. But you don't wet your rice with shoyu. I was in a place one time when American poured soy sauce on his rice. The waitress came and replaced it. She thought he spilled it. She couldn't believe he'd done it on purpose. So, and the taste of the rice is the measure of sushi bar quality. Fish is fish. And sometimes they'll tell you where it came from on the menu. I talked about this. There's often frequently a button on the table to summon a waiter. This is great, especially if you're in an all-you-can-eat place for something. All the oysters you can eat in 2 hours. You get your plate or all you can drink, and you push the button, they come over and refill everything. There's no tipping ever. A tip would be an insult. Okay. One of our favorite things are these sushi go-rounds. Inexpensive, extraordinary sushi. I'd say better. It's almost the best you can get. Junko and I order from nearby chef, but you don't need to have any language at all. It comes by on a conveyor belt, and now almost very common from a screen on a table. And a lot of them have a little computerized thing where you order something, it shoots down a conveyor belt, stops at your table, and waits for a second for you to pick it up. And the only problem with these places is they're so popular. Japanese people think if you don't have to wait, it's not good. So you might have to wait up to an hour. So I've been in some places where there's like chairs around the whole perimeter, and you sort of slowly advance. Some places have a buzzer. The atmosphere is unbelievable. There's maybe 5 chefs shouting, commotion everywhere, food flying by, announcements of new. If you don't want to wait, probably go at the off meal times. Buffets. Here's what's interesting: when you enter, you'll be handed a plastic card. What that does, that saves your table while you're browsing around. So it reserves your place. The Japanese trays for buffets are typically 12 little compartments. Japanese like mini tastes, and there'll be sashimi traces. You go back to your table, of course, pick whatever you want. And then I've even seen automatic Gohan dispensers, kind of fun. 3 choices for how much. And every meal you have Gohan and pick up small bowls to eat from them. Most vending machines oriented country in the world. And why? I think partly because it's safe. Nobody bothers these machines. Nobody breaks them open. They're in sometimes on the side of the road, in their temples. Many of the ones outside the city and the hotels have alcohol, no problem. This is a vending machine, nothing but alcohol out in the middle of the countryside. And it's not well known, but many have a special key to access emergency supplies inside if you have an earthquake or tsunami. So I assume you're going to be taking trains. I didn't, buses are fine. I didn't do much for buses, but they're quite nice too. Everybody's heard of Shinkansen. Typically, there's main rails going up through the city. I usually get the green car first class. It's like 20% more. It's just a little bit nicer. I don't know. Junko doesn't like it much. She doesn't care. And get an Ikiben. Iki means train. Ben means bento. Contractions again. This is a lunchbox, and I think I'll talk more about this. But there's probably 50 selections for this. And I just grab a beer. There are stations that are famous just for their Ikiben. Taxis are relatively expensive. These are true professionals. You'll see them with the back door open, waiting for a passenger. The door opens automatically. They do not like if you try and open the door because they're taking care of your safety. The taxi will shut the door. The door on the outer side is often can't be open. They don't want you going out in traffic there. It's very, safety is everything. And most hotels will have a hotel card you can use to take a taxi back to the hotel. And I've used the phone for this, talking to the phone, show it to him on the screen. So one thing I like about this, I don't know of any place in the world that you can see this much history of things. There's no place in the U.S. that I know where you can see that people lived 25,000 years ago. I don't know of any such thing. These are mostly in northern Japan, the Jomons, maybe 35,000. They in Aomori Prefecture, there's large towns been completely reconstructed on archaeological sites. The term comes from rope pattern. They did pottery. The big change was Yayoi. The thing happened here is they started to grow rice. And they went from, this was their hunter-gatherer period. We actually think people were happier in this period, frankly. When Gohan came, rice, the cities, again, you can see Yayoi, there's a historical park. All this is later in here, completely reconstructed, walk around here, and it's on the sites, just interesting stuff. Then this period with these very odd shaped tombs, I've never done much of this, but this is something that you can certainly look into. This is near Osaka. The Asuka period, this was a period of big transformations and pagodas. You can see where these are. The Nara period, this was where the first capital was in Nara, and I'll talk about these cities later. A couple hundred years before this, they started with Buddhism. and they imitated more of the Chinese government. Heian period, Kyoto, Kamakura period. You can see things for that. And the big one is the Edo period. This was 250 years of isolation. Tokugawa is when you think about traditional Japan, the kimonos, the samurai, all that is from this period, very long. What happened was Tokugawa noticed Europeans were colonizing larger countries, and they were doing it with religion. So he decided to close the country completely, with the exception of Dutch traders. He didn't like the Spanish because they're bringing religion. The Dutch just wanted money, so they worked fine. And they built an artificial island that you can go see in Nagasaki, Dijima. It's been reconstructed and really fascinating places. And then the Edo period, of course, ended with the gunboats, the Meiji Restoration. And so here's a few. This is enough vocabulary, I think, to take care of you, although you can do as much as you want. Ohio gozaimasu, you probably know this. Good morning. You can just say Ohio, but gozaimasu makes it more polite. Konnichiwa. And notice the little pause there. Konbanwa, good evening. This one you want to know, Kanjo kudasai. This is because if you're in a restaurant where no one speaks anything and you've ordered pointing your finger, you want to tell them that you're done to bring the check. And they'll bring it to your table. And often you'll pay at a cashier, except in a really small place, you'll pay the waitress. Sumimasen, this is really handy for everything. You can get the waiter by raising your hand saying sumimasen, excuse me. It's very polite. Arigato, that's simple, thank you. Again, arigato gozaimasu, just like ohayou gozaimasu, more polite. Hi, you say it like that. Hi means yes. Daijoubu, you hear that a lot. Daijoubu desu ka? I'm okay. Are you okay? Onegaishimasu, I want it. Oterodai onegaishimasu, I want a toilet. Where is something? Wadoko desu ka? Oterodai wadoko desu ka? Where's the toilet? And ego or karimasu ka? You understand English? Ego is Japanese for English. Usually they'll answer no, but they do. It's true universally. Younger women are always fluent in language. Someone glad to help you. Here's a few quirks. Other people's feelings matter. If you publish negative things about someone, you can be successfully sued for libel, even if they're true. It's against the law to hurt someone's feelings. People save their table in a restaurant with a cell phone or purse. Restrooms do not have towels. Japanese carry a handkerchief in their pocket for this. You're expected to speak quietly. People don't say no. If you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth with your arm if necessary. Take shoes you can take on and off easily. Plan on having to take these off at temples, historical sites, and some restaurants. No tipping ever. An exception would be a non-tap Japanese tour guide that want to tip. There's a little tray there. You do not hand people money. It's kind of like sanitation again. You don't touch other people. Most restaurants only accept money at a cashier. Don't do the tax. Public trash cans are rare. People are not expected to walk around with trash. Prepare to carry it. Careful when you take photos. Privacy laws are strict. I snuck a few and people sort of grouched a little bit, but you can ask, okay, the photo okay? People understand that much English, everybody. They don't like,
Really?
I mean, yeah.
I was just wondering if you pick up any Japanese language during your childhood, because your family lived in Japan, and was it, do you think, foundation really?
No, I didn't really, I took classes when I first arrived, but I don't remember. I think there's a lot of foundation in my body of Japanese culture, but not the language particularly. I've tried to learn the language here and there, but if you only go for a month a year or three months a year, you come back home and don't speak it and by the way, you can't read it. I mean, the kanji,
Mm,
I can't memorize 2,000 characters. I don't think anybody my age can. Um,
yeah. What
well,
about your parents? What
but
about your parents?
no, they never bothered at all. So we were on a military base, and my father was busy flying airplanes. My mother worked. They were more interested in Americana overseas than I think.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Go
Sorry,
ahead, Charlie. My apologies.
the, obvious, but don't break into lines. When in doubt, be courteous. Um, Here's the flight I was talking about. It's really quite nice. You leave about noon, get 2:30 the following day. I'd say do your own research about this stuff. Uh, I did not I did not do much that with outdoor activities. Frankly, my interest in kayaking, say in Japan, is low, and I'm more when I go over there, I'm more interested in things I can uniquely do there than I am things that I don't see the point of traveling over there and going skiing. I got skiing right here, so that kind of thinking. Uh, I don't think it's possible to drive. Uh,
Gotcha.
just I enjoy riding on the Shinkansen with my Ikiben and beer or sake. Um, I suggest you might consider skipping Tokyo. If time's limited, uh, the things are expensive. It's like going to New York City. The one
So,
exception,
not flying directly to Tokyo, right?
no, fly directly to Narita,
Narita.
which is
Okay.
Tokyo Airport. But I'm going to show you what I would do from there.
Okay.
By the way, if you're interested in Shinjuku, uh, the brightest street in the world, if that interests you, Akihabara, electronics. Uh, you do not want to ride the subway during rush hour. I've been there, and the pushers are real. And by the way, you're glad to have them. Otherwise, you can't get in the car. And it's so crowded that everybody leans over because there's not enough foot to avoid it. Um, so I think another option, because you're in Narita, would be to fly direct to Osaka Itami, the domestic airport. And as of this time, it's a flight that's quite convenient. By the way, shipping in the airports is wonderful. They encourage people to ship their luggage to the hotel because the tourists are jamming up the subway and things while their luggage. Uh, so I think this would be a nice thing, and Itami is close to town, taxi's cheap, and Osaka is second biggest city in Japan. This website, Rome to Rio, is good for travel options. And you can take the NEX to Tokyo Station. Shinkansen runs every 15 minutes, takes 2.5 hours. I'd just say if you're at the airport, maybe just easier to stay at the airport and continue on. Um, if you do take the train, go try and get the right-hand side. You might see Fujisan. Uh, San means mountain in Japanese, also, sort kind of. And some things about Osaka. Uh, Again, it's a big city. It is the food capital of Japan. We stayed in this Marriott hotel on the 56th floor with an incredible view. You can read some of these details, but we found a sushi go round in the attached department store was just phenomenal. And then I'd say Kyoto is a must see, even though it's jammed and packed with tourists. Uh, it is unbelievable. You could probably spend a month there. It is the old place. Uh, you can definitely go from Osaka on a train. I think I should have put that in here. It's I think 30 minutes, something like that. You can also go to Nara, which was the capital of the prefecture, and lots of temples and things. Deer in Nara Park, easy train. Kobe, uh, famous beef. You can get this beef everywhere. Kind of interesting spot. Again, easy to get to. We can go to Wakayama. This is the hotel you asked about. It's a 1 hour train ride. So this hotel was gigantic. I mean, it was so big. I think another option would be to take a 1 hour train and you can use the onsen as a guest visitor. So to me, I might rather go to this place, go to the onsen, maybe, and go back. This is a really interesting place. We've been here too, Koyasan. Um, this is a little tricky with the train. You got to find this particular train line, and you can get there in 90 minutes. This is where all of this is the temple for the place we stayed. We stayed in a little adjunct house. This is a place for to try a temple lodging. If this interests you.
Charlie, when is the cherry blossom?
It's in the spring, but you'll have every night on the television. They'll show you the wave of where they're blossoming. This is a very big deal in Japan. So we generally avoid it, even though we love the cherry blossoms because things are crowded and expensive. So
Mm.
we don't we don't seek to we'd love to look at it, but not at the cost of paying twice as much for a hotel room or something. So anyway,
Yeah.
the meals were unremarkable in the place we stayed in, and so you can read about this. The place we had some allow beer, ours didn't seem to. The main reason to go is two things. One is you'll get a really nice sort of a ceremonial uh, pieces of wood you write promises things on, and next day if you stay, those will be blessed in a ceremony. The morning 6 a.m. there's an hour-long chant. That's a must go. You can read about these places. Temple founded in 1223. If this stuff interests you. A cemetery with 200,000 stone stupas. Again, it's a choice. Fukuoka. So what the strategy that I had here was totally different than the one we would do driving. This is like you take a train, you go to a city, and you use that for a base, and you take trains or buses out of there to visit places. It just saves moving the luggage. Moving, when we drive, we change every day in the car, but it's easy. You throw it in the trunk and drive. You haul your luggage down to a train station. Got to get a taxi or a bus to a train station. It's a pain to put the trains have luggage space, but it's a pain to big luggage loaded onto the train. So this strategy is one that picks main cities.
Gotcha.
Fukuoka, I think, is great. This museum is incredible. I don't see it recommended in any travel guide. It's got a place like Kyoto. It's got temples. You can read more about this. It's also got food stalls, ruins of a castle, and I would consider for sure a trip to Saga. Saga is a treasure, and that's this historical park where the Yayoi are I showed you before. So again, lots of you can go to Kagoshima, an hour and a half. Japanese garden, home, an active volcano, a Meiji museum. We love this hotel. Again, I think they're no problem with language. It's a great hotel, and that's a choice of a ryokan experience. And this is what Beppu looks like. This is quite amazing. If I would have been much more impressed with Yellowstone if I hadn't been to Beppu 3 months earlier. This is hot springs everywhere. I mean, just look at it. This is really what it looks like. Steam coming out. A favorite hotel here. It has 6 private hot springs. I talked about the private hot spring where you can get the room. So that's really nice. They kind of feature the private hot springs. And the for dinner, the first course, you cook it yourself. The chef brings it out and he puts it on top of a stone counter. You turn the valve and the steam comes out of the ground. And 3 minutes later, your first course is done. They'll cook the rest for you, but it's kind of fun to be this. This was a very, very nice hotel, ultra modern, really nice place. And it's modern and new enough that they're going to have no problem with English. I think where you're going to get to English trouble is when you go up, say, north into places that don't have many foreigners. You can also go to Nagasaki, an hour and 15 minutes on these trains. This is really interesting. And I think it's worth visiting for Dejima alone. This is the Dutch island. they built an artificial island. Zumo was a great ryokan and a fantastic thing. I couldn't find any train access, but I didn't research buses. I think I just didn't bother. That Rome to Rio link would probably talk about a bus, and the buses are nice. This is not like the US. The buses are, uh, I don't take them because we drive, but I think you probably get a reserved seat and a bathroom and a very pleasant experience. You asked about Japanese gardens. This is in Kanazawa. Again, little rail traffic, but a good bus connection. This is the number one ranked in Japan with 1,000 contestants every year. That's a photo I actually took of the place. So this is the route we've done now. Just to be clear, we started in Narita. We took a flight to Osaka and headed due south all this time. Now you could take a flight up north to Tohoku if you wanted, and it's almost nobody there. Um, a train strategy could start it from Narita. You could also go north. This is just to be clear. That trip was going south out of Narita. This is going north out of Narita. And I think the Shinkansen would be a good way to go. Go to Tokyo Station and take this course, and then go back to Narita. The nonstop to Denver leaves at 4:30 in the afternoon and arrives 5 hours before you left, which is kind of cool. Uh, this is a Jamon place reconstructed. This is really interesting, I think. I don't know any place else you can see this. This is on the original site the archaeologists excavated, and sea on three sides. Delicious food. This was a ryokan we really liked. Again, this one's a little bit more traditional. You can see from the looks of it. By the way, that's a onsen water fountain in the front. You can drink the hot water out of the onsen. And this is a beautiful garden, but hard to get to. I couldn't find an easy train. And it just sort of heads south out of Aomori. This is your most northern place. 2 hours back to this town. I've not been there, so I'll put this quote, and you can see. And this is the Park Hotel Yodogahama. This is what our room looked like. If you go here, I splurged for this kind of room. Maybe it's $40 extra. This was just incredible. The onsen was fantastic. We had private dining. Typical. Almost always you'll have private dining in our ryokan. By private dining, I mean there'll be a partition or a separate room. Then continue on to Sendai. This is maybe the third biggest city in Japan. Interesting place. And out of Sendai, if you stay for a few days here, you can go to Matsushima. Beautiful place. Temples. Nice day trip. Walk around the ocean. You can also go to Yamagata. 20 to 50 minutes by bus. It's faster by bus. The bus takes a more direct route. 70% of the cherries. It's cool. If you want to go to one of these places, you could do more than my summary to look. And then go back to Narita on the way. From Yamagata, you can head on to Narita. If you want to do overnight, you can take the Shinkansen onto the airport. And so there it is. That's our trip plan. Again, it emphasizes north. It emphasizes going south, starting with Osaka, skipping Tokyo, and north up to Aomori, the upper north, skipping Hokkaido. So I think you could do a nice 2-week trip with this. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Time you can get off, but if you're going to spend all this time and money, I wouldn't go for 4 days.
Right.
So I hope that was helpful. I hope it motivates you to go.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Comments?
Thank you very much. This is not gift for me and my husband. I'm really supporting the gift for newlyweds. So I'm really happy for them. But if I would ever have a chance to use your advice and travel to Japan, I would gladly do so with a gratefulness.
I've been to 146 countries. This is my favorite.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I don't think I can match that 146 countries. I probably in about, I don't know, a couple dozens.
So in short, there's nothing like a ryokan any place in the world that I know. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
And we spend about 2/3 of the night when we travel in these ryokans. And we don't, the night we arrive, we go to a business hotel in town. We're tired,
Mhm.
take a bus
Right.
into the hotel. And the infrastructure for travel is great in Japan. Um, and the business hotel is absolutely fine. And the benefit of that is you can walk around and eat a restaurant wherever you want.
Right.
Ryokan, you're going to typically get their kaiseki dinner, which I'm enormously fond of. It's a 12 course menu. And I don't know that everything it would be immediately appealing to Western taste. After about 2 weeks, I want a ham and cheese sandwich or a hamburger or something. Which I
That's not going to be me. I am vegan, so
get,
I will.
well, or something for you, something close. I think Ryokan could make a vegan meal for you.
I'm sure about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure they have a
yeah.
delicious vegan food.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Charlie.
again,
Thank you for having me as
Yes.
a in the audience. So
when
congratulations
you
again.
if either of you get actually ready to go, we can have another conversation
For sure.
about
Yeah,
details. But that's my
Yeah.
sort of 1 hour summary. And
yeah.
Appreciate it.
my purpose was hopefully to motivate you to go do this because I think you'll be glad you did.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what we can figure out, but we've not finalized any plans as yet. So
All right.
Thank you
Okay.
both.
Thank you very much, and hopefully we will continue, right, Charlie? Because this is
Yep.
just the beginning.
Yep.
All
yep.
right.
Great to see
Okay.
you, Larissa.
Great seeing you too. Please send my best to your wife.
I will.
So, and congratulations to you both.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye, Charlie.
Bye.